Now at 5 and streaming on crossroadstoday.com, a Victoria business owner who pled guilty to money laundering finds out when he'll be sentenced. Plus, State Representative A.J. Louderback speaks out on the government shutdown's local impact on food insecurity. And family tradition lives on as one local leader looks ahead on a very special day.
Well, it's going to be a cold night in the Crossroads. We're looking at temperatures dropping down to the upper 30s, so grab a jacket. You're certainly going to need one early in the morning. We'll be talking about what to expect for the rest of the week coming up in a moment.
And a Bloomington business owner says passing the sales tax isn't enough. We'll take a look at what's next. You're watching 25 News now at 5. Good afternoon and thanks for being with us. I'm Shawna Currie. A Victoria man is out on bond as he awaits sentencing on money laundering charges. Last week, days into his jury trial, 48-year-old Jason Brannon accepted a plea deal and was released on bond. The charges against Brannon stem from a sting operation by the Drug Enforcement Agency and Internal Revenue Service Criminal Investigations Division that led to his 2024 arrest. Brannon's sentencing is scheduled for February 27, 2026. Senate Majority Leader John Thune says the bill that would end the government shutdown could be voted on in the coming hours. It is day 41 of the shutdown, and as ABC's Perry Russum explains, several steps still have to happen before the government is back open.
With a breakthrough deal reached in the Senate that would end the government shutdown, Americans anxiously wait for the final vote on the funding bill.
We will be voting on the final package in the very near future, and I'm hoping that will be hours and not days.
8 members of the Senate Democratic caucus caving yesterday after weeks of fighting for lower health care insurance premiums.
How do you explain, though, to your constituents why it was worth it to put up this fight for so long when in the end you did not get your key demand?
Because it wasn't working.
As a part of the deal, sources say Democrats secured a vote on health care subsidies in the coming weeks. But there's no guarantee that vote will happen.
The American people have now awoken to Trump's health care crisis. Health care is once again at the forefront of people's minds. People now see that premiums are about to skyrocket.
Senators today working on advancing the bill that would fund the government through the end of January. It funds SNAP benefits for months, reverses the shutdown firings of federal workers, and guarantees back pay for those who are furloughed.
They abide by the deal. The deal is very good.
Once the bill passes the Senate and then goes back to the House for a final vote. Congressional Democrats divided after those 8 senators split from the Democratic caucus.
Well, I don't have much to say about those individuals, and they're going to have to explain themselves to their constituents and to the American people.
House Speaker Mike Johnson says lawmakers should return to Washington, D.C. He says they will vote as quickly as possible after it passes in the Senate. Perry Russum, ABC News, Washington.
District 30 State Representative A.J. Louderback is speaking out on food insecurity here in the Crossroads during this government shutdown. Representing DeWitt, Goliad, Jackson, Matagorda, and Victoria counties, Louderback has some encouraging news about recent cuts to SNAP benefits, news that could help families struggling to put food on the table.
Well, I think with the government, federal government is well on their way to reopening. Now, I think SNAP benefits will be restored here in pretty short order. But there are places in the Crossroads clearly that will take care of the nutritional demands of the area. So there are solutions that are at hand right now. My staff, we're more than happy to help them try to find.
Representative Louderback has an office in Victoria located inside the Heritage Mark building at Salem and Navarro. Residents can call or stop by for assistance. Even with the government shutdown, the Victoria County Health Department is keeping its doors open and services running for the community. Health Department Director David Gonzalez told the County Commissioner's Court this morning that operations are continuing as normal, and he does not expect that to change anytime soon. He credits state grant funds for helping the health department stay open and running. Victoria is getting ready to honor those who served with its annual Veterans Day Parade. The parade lineup starts tomorrow at 8 o'clock in the morning, with the parade stepping off at 10. Our Don Brubaker is this year's parade grand marshal. Afterward, everyone is invited to gather at the courthouse steps for a special ceremony at 11 o'clock, complete with banners, wreaths, and tributes to local veterans. Chief Meteorologist Mac Perez is part of a presentation at that ceremony. And a special flag retirement ceremony will be held at the Field of Honor on John Stockbauer Drive. This is a moment to honor our nation's symbol of freedom and the brave men and women who have stood in its defense. American flags will be retired with the dignity, respect, and gratitude they deserve. This event starts at 6 o'clock tomorrow evening. If you see news happening, give our newsroom a call at 361-576-0026 or send us an email at staff@crossroadstoday.com. Well, Michiana, which includes northern Indiana and southwestern Michigan, is no stranger to snow, but today's is a special snowfall because it is the first of the season for them. Take a look at this. While some areas saw a beautiful blanket of snow on the ground, there were many reported power outages due to fallen tree limbs and power lines. That is due in part to the fact that there were still leaves on the trees weighing down the branches even more. Slushy, icy road conditions made it a messy morning commute, and the snow is not done yet. More lake effect snow is on the way this evening. But Mac, it was a nice fall day here in the Crossroads. Thankfully, nothing that cold. But tonight, are we going to have to switch on that heater? Because we were just right on the verge of that last night.
I do believe we're going to need the blankets and the heaters and maybe the socks too, tonight, because we're dropping down into the upper 30s. As a matter of fact, here are the low temperatures forecast for around the area. So 36 up toward Wharton. We're looking 38 out in Karnes City. Close to records, but not probably records. Nonetheless, it's going to be cold enough, and we're going to talk about how long this will last coming up in just a few minutes. Back to you, Shawna.
Some residents in southeast Texas are being told to evacuate after the Carter Lake Dam failed over the weekend. Crews are making progress stabilizing the damaged structure, pumping water to lower the lake level and ease pressure on the dam. 2 high-level pumps are running around the clock, and officials hope to drop the water another 2 feet to better assess the damage. People in the evacuation area are still being asked to stay clear for now. The U.S. Supreme Court has decided not to take up a case that could have challenged its landmark ruling recognizing same-sex marriage. The move puts to rest concerns from LGBTQ supporters who worried the justices might revisit and possibly change that 2015 decision. The appeal came from former Kentucky clerk Kim Davis, who refused to issue marriage licenses after that ruling and now faces hefty legal fees and damages. The court did not say why it declined to hear the case. The Supreme Court will take up a case that could change how mail-in ballots are handled nationwide. Justices agreed to decide whether states can count ballots that arrive after Election Day, an issue that could impact voting laws in more than a dozen states. The case stems from a Mississippi law passed during the pandemic that allows ballots postmarked by Election Day to be counted up to 5 days later. Republicans sued, arguing it violates federal election law. It is one of several major voting cases the court will tackle this year. Republican Governor Greg Abbott says he plans to run for re-election, seeking his 4th term next year. The 67-year-old made his announcement at a golf course in Houston on Sunday. He described the state as the heartbeat of America and said the Texas economy is growing twice as fast as the U.S. economy. Abbott has been a staunch supporter of President Trump and has supported his immigration enforcement operations. Victoria County's criminal district attorney is running for re-election. Constance Philly Johnson, the first woman to hold the DA's office, filed her paperwork today for the 2026 race. She has served since 2019 and has a long history in Victoria, from 20 years practicing criminal law to time as a local educator and municipal judge. Johnson says she chose this day to announce her run to honor her father, former DA George Philly, on his birthday, keeping a family tradition alive while looking ahead to the next term. Well, after voters approved a city sales tax in Bloomington, leaders are working through the details on how it will be collected and spent. 25 News Now reporter Ray Mosley caught up with a local business owner to hear how the new tax could impact him. And Ray, what did he have to say?
Local business owner Ernie Pemberton says approving the sales tax was a step forward, but the city has a lot more work to do. Bloomington business owner Ernie Pemberton isn't satisfied with just passing the sales tax, but says the work starts immediately. His biggest concerns are about leadership being transparent, how much money the city will receive, and whether or not residents will vote on a hotel tax to try to even bring in more money.
I feel as a business owner, it's not enough. It's just not enough. Yes, it's great that it did pass, but we just need more.
The 1.5% sales tax approved last Tuesday will go to the city's general fund to support projects such as street maintenance.
We voted for this. We voted for the incorporation. We voted to have sales tax. Now it's time for us to get off our duffs and get something moving here for our community.
Pemberton says if Bloomington isn't represented by people who live there, the city will lose his voice. The 1.5% sales tax will go into effect on April 1st. Shawna?
A Jackson County Extension agent has earned national recognition for her work with Texas A&M AgriLife Extension. Courtney Mercer received a Distinguished Service Award from the National Association of Extension 4-H Youth Development Professionals. The award highlights agents who demonstrate excellence in their programs and service to their communities. Mercer serves as a family and community health agent and 4-H coordinator and was one of 9 Texas agents honored at this year's national conference. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell. Still to come on 25 News Now at 5, a major baby formula brand is pulling products from shelves after cases of infant botulism. Plus, the leaves are falling and the days are shorter. If you're feeling down, you're not alone when winter blues become something more. A baby formula recall to tell you about this evening. By Heart brand is voluntarily pulling 2 batches of its whole nutrition infant formula. The company says the recall is being made out of an abundance of caution after the Food and Drug Administration started investigating a wave of infant botulism cases across the U.S. The agency has not tied any formula to the illness. The company says it will keep working to ensure safety and transparency going forward. A new study finds that pregnant women are at a higher risk of being killed, especially when a gun is involved. Researchers found most homicides involving expectant mothers include a firearm, and women in their early 20s face the greatest danger. The study, published in JAMA Network Open, looked at more than 7,000 homicides among women of childbearing age. Experts say stronger domestic violence protections and safe gun storage laws could help save lives. The FDA is updating labels on hormone-based menopause drugs. Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. says the agency will remove the black box warnings about cancer and heart risks, a move he hopes will encourage more women to consider hormone therapy for menopause symptoms. ABC's Rena Roy has more on what doctors are saying.
Bold warning labels will soon be gone on all hormone replacement therapy used by women going through menopause.
The FDA is announcing today that it will remove the misleading black box warnings from all HRT products.
Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. saying today those labels warning of stroke, heart attack, dementia, and blood clots, among other serious risks, are outdated and unnecessary. An expert panel formed at the FDA in recent months recommending the removal after reviewing latest scientific studies.
The science is clear. Hormone therapy is safe and effective, and it is hugely beneficial to the vast majority of women when properly timed.
The drugs come in pill, patch, and cream form containing hormones like estrogen and progestin, which are approved to ease menopausal symptoms like night sweats. The FDA estimating millions of women have avoided those drugs out of fear, saying almost a third of women did not use HRT due to the black box warning, according to a survey.
As we've reviewed more data and understanding also how these medications can be used in a variety of different ways, new information and expert review looks back at that old data and says, hey, that's likely overemphasized.
Many doctors, including the largest medical group of OBGYNs, agree this is a positive step for women's health. An estimated 8 to 10 million women living with symptoms of menopause every year.
We've seen not only that we don't see those severe risks that we were concerned about, but we're seeing a reduction in cardiovascular risk and even improvements in cognitive abilities later on in life.
Now, doctors stress that this label removal doesn't mean that there is zero risk. It is still important to talk to your primary care provider about the right medication and dosage for you. Rena Roy, ABC News, New York.
A new study shows heavy drinking can lead to earlier and more severe strokes. Researchers say regularly having 3 or more drinks a day is linked to serious brain bleeds and long-term brain damage. In fact, people who drank that much had strokes about 11 years earlier than those who drank less. The findings come from data on 1,600 adults hospitalized for bleeding strokes with an average age of 75. Canada has lost its measles elimination status after a big outbreak in Ontario. The World Health Organization notified Canadian health officials that the country had gone 12 months of uninterrupted measles transmission. So far this year, there have been more than 5,000 cases, more than double the total seen in the past 25 years combined. Officials say Canada can regain the status if the outbreak is stopped and the virus is not spreading for at least a year. Well, millions of Americans deal with seasonal affective disorder, or SAD. It's a type of depression that usually hits in the fall and winter. It's more common than you might think, and as Mandy Gaither shares, many people don't even realize they have it.
The leaves are falling and the days are shorter. If this darker season has you feeling down, you're not alone.
Seasonal affective disorder is really just a feature of a major mood disorder like depression.
Clinical psychologist Craig Sawchuk with Mayo Clinic says symptoms of seasonal affective disorder come and go with a change in seasons and can include feeling sad, sometimes described as feeling blah. Limbs can feel heavy, there's low energy, and a tendency to want to sleep more. There may also be carbohydrate cravings and weight gain.
When those symptoms start to become more prominent, they start to cause problems in day-to-day living, then that's when we look at a difference between just having winter blues versus actually being a problem of clinical concern.
Sawchuk says focusing on lifestyle factors can help maintain a regular sleep schedule instead of being tempted to oversleep. Exercise can also help improve mood and health overall, and he says to stay connected.
Making sure that we're avoiding the avoidance and avoiding the withdrawal, making plans, being accountable with others and healthy supports can be really helpful.
Light therapy can also help. Sawchuk says using a light box for about 20 to 30 minutes when you wake up can provide symptom relief. Cognitive behavioral therapy can also help, and there's always medicine.
The medications that we typically use in the treatment of non-seasonal depression, they can actually be very helpful here as well too.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Well, good evening, everybody. Yes, it was a beautiful sunny day and nice and crisp. And tonight, it's downright chilly. We're looking at 60 degrees right about now. The north winds have settled down. Let's see, Saturday, I believe our wind was Sunday morning, peaking at 42 miles an hour, but now that's all gone. Our high today was only 62 compared to the average of 76, so we're obviously a far cry from our average temperatures. Tonight, it's going to be cold. We're getting down into the upper 30s. We'll talk about that after this. Well, good afternoon, everybody. Here's the frontal system that came through early on Sunday and, of course, brought us that gusty wind. We were very fortunate. There were a few little wildfires, but no major problems, and that was very helpful for Sunday. Of course, it was breezy most of the day. Tonight, the winds will go calm with clear skies, dry air, and no winds. That's perfect ingredients for dropping the temperature down into the 30s. Now, we'd have to get down to freezing to get a record, but that's okay. We don't need a record. It's just going to be cold in the morning. Now, when you head out early tomorrow, you're really going to have to bundle up, certainly the kids for sure. But it's Veterans Day, and we have a lot of events. I just want the veterans to have a nice big warm jacket to get out there, because even though it's going to be cold early, it's going to be sunny by noontime, or sunny all day, but the temperatures are going to warm up into the 70s, so it won't be lasting for very long. Here's that big storm that I told you about last week. It is the one producing bitter cold and snows all the way down into Tennessee and Kentucky. This map will show that this is going to be rolling eastward, and so we watch and wait again for the West Coast. Now, this is why. Here's the cold right now. Here's the mild weather. But as you can see, we've got on the West Coast another deep diving snowstorm, okay? This is cold air right here. This comes in on Thursday, then it rolls across, and this is, you've heard me talk about these specific storms. This is going to be on Saturday. Watch what happens on Sunday. It rolls through our area and then pushes a frontal system through. This one, it won't be as cold, but it will have a lot more moisture in it, and that's what makes me excited that we may have a pretty good shot at getting some rain out of it. Here's the gusty winds right about now. Peak winds topping out at about 10, 15 miles an hour, so not so bad. Tonight, they'll go absolutely quiet. So tomorrow we're going to slowly turn the winds around, and in fact for the next few days we're going to pick up a very strong south wind as that storm starts to roll in. So we're going to pick up gusty south winds for the rest of the week, and that's going to warm us up dramatically. In fact, we're going to go from what, the 73 today to about 85 by the week's end before the next system comes through. But as I just showed you, it's going to come in from the west, and I've always said those are the wetter storms that we need. Now, we do have fire weather watches for much of Texas, but we're not in it. Okay, that's fine, but you know what? I think we should still be very cautious with anything that looks like flame. Now, while Sunday the winds were going this way, for the next few days are going to be coming up this way. It's not as dry an air mass, but it's still, you know, if there's a fire that takes off, it's going to be hard to contain. So here's tonight, getting down into the 30s. Yes, sirree, 37 in the city, about 42 down along the immediate coastline. Everybody inland is going to be rather chilly tonight. And tomorrow, with the sun, we're going to warm up very nicely. By morning, we'll have sun, and then by noontime, we'll definitely be in the upper 60s, and then we'll top out at about 70. Now, we continue with the burn bans. This is an updated map, and all of these counties in red say do not burn outside without prior authorization and making sure you have fire containment. So let's just continue to be careful with that. So we'll be certainly talking about the week that is going to be rather warm as temperatures really shoot up. In fact, by tomorrow we'll be in the 70s, and then by the time we get to Friday, we'll be in the mid 80s for sure. Cuero tomorrow topping out at 75 with abundant sunshine. So the morning will be cold, but the daytime will be fairly nice. And you can see how we'll get up into the 80s Friday and Saturday, but Saturday night into Sunday morning is our next front that hopefully will give us a good shot at rain this time. That's your 7-day forecast, reminding everybody we do have a QR code. Love for you to scan that, put Crossroads Today on your phone. Shawna, back to you.
Still to come on 25 News now at 5. Stores get more power over credit cards, but there is a catch for shoppers. We'll explain. Wall Street started off the week on a positive note. The Dow rising more than 380 points, the S&P 500 climbing more than 100 points, and the Nasdaq up more than 2.25%. The price of oil is up 40 cents, bringing it back over the $60 per barrel mark. There could be some changes for anyone who uses a credit card at the store. Visa and MasterCard have come to terms on a deal with retailers to lower merchant fees and give stores more say over which cards they accept. But it could also affect consumer rewards programs, since stores might not have to take every type of card. The deal's been announced, but it still needs court approval before it takes effect. Well, is your wallet ready for the holiday shopping rush? Shoppers are expected to spend a record amount this season, with total spending projected to top $1 trillion for the first time, even with rising prices and economic uncertainty. People are still being careful with money, opting for cheaper brands, but they're still splurging on gifts for family and friends. On average, each person plans to spend around $890 on gifts, food, and decorations. Honda has lowered its full-year profit forecast because of U.S. tariffs, chip shortages, and rising EV costs, with shares dropping nearly 5% today. The bigger challenge is Chinese EV makers are eating into Honda's market share in Southeast Asia. To stay competitive, automakers are offering more incentives and cutting prices, which could shrink profits on new cars. Well, a century-old veteran teams up with country stars for an unbelievable experience. We have his story coming up next. You don't want to miss it.
Senate deal to end the record-long government shutdown. What happens next? Plus, the first blast of winter. Snow and brutal cold from Chicago to Florida to the Northeast. World News Tonight with David Muir is the most-watched newscast in America.
A 101-year-old World War II veteran achieved a milestone most people only dream of. He became a published songwriter one day before his birthday. D-Day veteran Irving Walker teamed up with Texas singer-songwriter Bart Crow and duo Johnny and Heidi Bulford through Creative Vets. It's a Nashville nonprofit that helps veterans heal through the arts. Their song, If Freedom Was Free, shares a message that Walker has delivered from classrooms to the White House. Freedom comes at a cost. He calls the experience unbelievable, a once-in-a-lifetime thrill that proves it is never too late to make your mark. So that is incredible. 101.
Well, you know that anybody who was in World War II has to be about 100 years old now. So, you know, we're losing them, but, you know, tomorrow's the day to go recognize them and say hello and say thank you for your service. So.
Yeah, tomorrow we'll be recognizing past and present, all of our veterans.
The parade is at 10 a.m.
It kicks off at 10 a.m., so everyone will probably start, you know, lining up between 8 and 9.
Yeah,
and we'll need a little blanket.
There's a little thing happening at the courthouse. I'm going to be dressed like a World War I soldier, so I'm going to show you what that means. Anyway, folks, yes, it's going to be cold in the morning, but it's going to mild up very nicely. We'll get up to about 74 in the afternoon, and then the rest of the week actually is going to warm up into the 80s. Very quick turnaround, so this was just a 2-day cold snap. We're going to be warm all week until the next front comes in on Sunday. That one hopefully will have some rain.
All right, we hope everyone makes it out to the parade and just stay warm while you're out there.
Yep, that's right.
Well, thanks for joining us. We'll see you back here in 30 minutes for 25 News Now at 6.